Now, once you've finished uploading all of your golden thread documents, you need to tell us about how you're engaging with residents. Now, there's quite a bit on here, and what I've tried to do is I've tried to give you a starter for 10. Now, we will work with you on this, but we've given you an indication of what we would expect would be a good answer, okay, on the left-hand side here. And all we're asking you to do is say, yeah, that accurately describes what we do. Or, no, it doesn't. So I'm going to type in here what we actually do. Yeah, we'll just type in there what we actually do. Okay. But then this, as I've said to you, is not simply about just saying, oh, we do this. Everything's okay then. This is about evidence. So when you type what you do, I want you to also type in a hyperlink for the evidence that shows that you actually do that. Okay. Again, we can assist you, and it may well be that we need to help you develop some templates, and we have a few templates that we can share with you on some of this work. So don't feel that you're alone on this. We'll develop it with you and help you along the way, so that you've got a story to tell, a coherent story that the building safety regulator will accept. All right. As you'll go through sharing all the information for resident engagement, once you've completed that exercise, you can get what is known as a gap analysis. And that gap analysis is just telling you what is missing from your information and why it's important that you do actually have that information. What is that information about? You might have never heard of I don't know, a contractor's permit to work system. Well, this will tell you what a contractor's permit to work system is and why it's important for you to have it, and why it's important for you to be able to explain the process behind the permit to work system, why the BSR would be interested in seeing that. So all of that will be on there. So you've now dealt with all of the information gathering, okay? So now it's over to the engineer to assess the risk of the building. He'll start off with something we call occurrence reporting, and this is about where you report incidents in the building and the procedures around that, and we'll risk assess that information that you've given us. And then there's what we call safety management systems. All of the golden thread documents that you have got in place, we will look at them and we will score them and give them a risk score. Then there's systems testings. The systems are things like your alarm systems, your sprinkler systems, your fire doors, etc. And it's about making sure that you've got competent individuals coming round and assessing these things, and that you're documenting that. Again, this is all about the evidence that you have to support that you're doing these things properly. And then we'll finish off with a risk assessment of the building. And this is going to be mainly about how your building's been put together, the height of the building, the materials used on the outside of the building. I think we were speaking to someone earlier that joined the meeting, and it sounds to me like the cladding on the outside of his building is made of concrete, pebble dash concrete. Well, as an engineer, a fire engineer, I am so unworried about that, I can't tell you. That's not a worry to me. That's going to be a very low risk score as far as this assessment would be concerned. But a building that's over 18 meters that has ACM all over the front of it, or an HPL with a combustible insulation behind it, I'm going to be very concerned about, and will get a very different score, even if it's not quite as tall. So just understand, some of the things that will go into the risk assessment, and it's also about not just the outside of the building, but can people genuinely escape from the building when there's a fire? Can they genuinely escape from that building with their lives? Can they use the corridor without the corridor leaking smoke into it and affecting their ability to travel down that corridor safely? Are fire doors in the corridor being propped open and allowing smoke to travel all around the building? So all of these things will be assessed and taken into account. Okay, and if there are sprinklers in the building, that's a very positive thing to be aware of, and will de-risk the building quite considerably. So all of these things the risk assessor will take into account and give an overall risk score for your building. So there's a lot of work in there that goes into that. I'm going to go on to the next bit, which again is something that you're able to do. You're able to go into, if you notice, we're back into the navy blue area. The permit to work system. We've developed one, which I'm hoping is going to be fairly generic and can be used by pretty much everybody, but I may need to change it over time. We'll see. But it's one that you'll be able to say to the building safety regulator, you have a permit to work system, and the procedure is this. So there is a procedure, and everybody follows that procedure. And part of that procedure is, before anybody undertakes any work, they've got to complete a permit to work form. That permit to work form then gets sent to the building manager for sign off, and then onto the PAP for his or her sign off. Okay, so there's a system in place for that. There's a few other functions. I'm not going to spend too long on there. The bit of admin where you can put your own details in. If you really have to have an image of yourself, you can put an image of yourself in there as well. But the important thing for you as the PAP is you're able to invite other people, because you probably are going to say, well, hang on a second, I don't have time to put all of this information in, but I've got some people who can. Well, I want you to tell us who those people are so we can send them an invite. So you can see here, you would be the designated PAP with the responsibilities of a PAP, but you can issue this to someone as an acting PAP so that they can do the sort of things that you're allowed to do, like upload documents, the things that you don't necessarily have the time to do. And so those more involved in the admin or whatever can be invited. You just give us the email address, the name, and we'll send the invite. They'll have all of the login details, and that's the end of that. Subscription, by the way, we're still in the process of the latter stages of testing this. So it's being used by a couple of companies, but we're trying to learn from what we're finding when we're using it in practice, so that so when we actually roll it out in a week or so's time, it is definitely ready to use. So we haven't fully established things like subscriptions, because we need to try and understand exactly what the pricing is. But those things are emerging, and we can share with you the current thinking on that at some stage. And then there's the help and support. There's some terms of use if you're going to use the portal. How we'd expect you to use it. The rules are around that. And if you've got any issues, you've got the ability to contact us and the developer for the website, so that we can actually improve things or deal with your issues. Okay. Now I think that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I think, could be wrong. So any questions? I think I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay, so over to you. How are we doing for time? I think we're doing okay, aren't we?
Yeah,
That's pretty much
all the questions. Yeah,
that's pretty much on the button for the time. So any questions?